New 2.0 is not a urethane ball, but it does have urethane utility. Hey team, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Brian, core design engineer with Brunswick Bowling, and today we're going to do a quick video for you guys because we're going to detail all the information on the brand new 2.0 from Hammer. I think we can all agree just to call it new 2, doesn't that sound so much better? This one has a NOT Urethane cover stock. Of course, the NU technology was detailed with a Q&A video in my previous video about the new blue. So if you want a deep dive about the cover chemistry, what it is not, and what its utility is, make sure you check out the Q&A video I had on the new blue. I'll put the link in the comments. And we're going to do just a quick recap of this because Hammer has plenty of information and content for you guys to decide if you want this one. This is more of a utility piece for players who bowl in tournaments, bowl on tougher, flatter conditions, maybe bowl on conditions that are not walled for success, and you want a little more control overall. This is the new active cover stock. What this is going to be is just a slightly stronger overall version than the one that was on the new blue. This one is going to be a little more mid-lane traction and a little more down-lane motion overall, which lends itself to be what you would think to be a little more reactive in characteristic, but the difference is with a slightly smoother surface finish at 500-2000 and with a slightly faster oil absorption rate, it blends in the mid lane, bleeds off in the mid lane, reads a little bit earlier, and smooths out the back end motion. So even though this one is a slightly stronger piece overall, it gives you a more familiar characteristic motion to that purple pearl urethane look that people like. This one is going to be on the stronger end of the purple pearl motion in terms of total hook, but I think the shape is a little more familiar to that ball than the new blue was. The new blue was incredibly close to the purple pearl at box finish, but one complaint about that ball was that it lane shined rather quickly, and then it became too long down the lane and a little too responsive to friction down lane, making it a little more usable on house shots, but a little less utility in the conditions where Purple Hammer excelled, and that are shorter, flatter patterns where you want a little more control overall front to back and left to right. Although this new 2.0 is a stronger version of the new blue, this one is going to be shape-wise a little closer and more familiar to the Purple Hammer, and to my eye that's going to make it more successful for tournament bowlers as a utility piece when the Purple Pearl is not in play. Of course, we know the USBC has some new rules that limit when the Purple Pearl Hammer is in play and not in play. At the risk of making this video like 20 minutes long and ranting about the new rules, I'm not going to mention those. Aside to say, make sure you check the USBC website and check with your local tournament officials to make sure when urethane is and is not in play. And with this new 2.0, as with the new blue, the oil absorption in those two balls is faster than the limit required to meet the urethane specification. In other words, this one is classified as a reactive ball, does not have the urethane ban rules or limitation rules in place, and can be used at any tournament that's USBC certified across the board with no limitation. So that is definitely one advantage of the new 2 and also the original new blue. And since this is the core of it, and I am the Hammer core guy, I think we should probably review this core just to touch base on it. This is a thick shell cover stock, meaning it only has an inner core and cover stock material. You have to drill an awful long way before you get to the core of this one because it does not have an outer core. Because of that, there are fewer interfaces and the hitting power is higher. This inner core is the exact same inner core shape, the LED core that is in the Purple Hammer. It's the exact same shape and volume. The difference is the density is a little different, which means the total differential is a little bit higher in this one at 0.27 for 15 pounds. Just like all thick shell balls, the differential is a little higher in 16 pounds. And in 14 pounds, this one does not have a thick shell. It has an outer core and the inner core body is the exact same shape. At lightweight 12 and 13 pound cores, this one has a generic inner core shape that gets the differentials relatively close to the 14, 15, and 16 pounders. So across the board, the differential does fluctuate just a little bit by nature of having a thick shell ball. Regardless of what weight you're throwing, the total differential is in the spec range between mid-20s and mid-30s differential, so that's going to be just enough flare spacing to get the ball to flare past the previous ring and get fresh new contact surface between the lane and the Coverstock with each rotation, meaning carry down won't be nearly as bad with this ball as a 15 differential purple hammer. And because there is some oil absorption, although very slow oil absorption with this Coverstock, carry down effects will be less overall as well. So in combination, this one is going to be more predictable shot over shot relative to a ball that flares less than this. Finally, let's talk about use case, because there is sometimes a little bit of confusion in the market about should or shouldn't I throw this ball during certain conditions. We already covered the fact that this one is approved for any use at all USB-C events. But with this one, I think there is some utility on house shots as well as sport shots, and I'm going to get into some finer details right here if you're interested. For high rev players and players that are speed and rev rate matched, I think that if you're on a light volume house shot or a house shot that's reasonably cliffy but doesn't have a ton of head oil, where you get into balls that are a little cleaner and quicker down lane because you don't want the ball to overhook, but then those balls get too sharp and angular down lane and get a little unpredictable, that's where something like the new 2.0 is going to come in amazing handy. Being a little stronger than the new blue, this one is going to offer more utility on house shots than the new blue did. So it's going to be in play on a little wider range of patterns, but certainly you're going to need some built-in friction. This ball is incredibly smooth and blended down lane, so if you want to make sure that you're carrying well, you're going to want to make sure that you match up with some friction. And that brings me to the sport shot side of things. This one's going to do amazingly well at challenge patterns as well as sport shot patterns that are in the medium long to medium short range on length. But regardless of the length of pattern you're throwing this on, you're not going to want to throw it on a total flood. The hook window is very long, meaning it starts early in the mid lane but continues to hook for a long time. Because of that, the reaction down lane is very slow, so you do need some built-in friction into the pattern to take advantage of it. The other use case for this is on longer, heavier patterns. You can definitely trap yourself further right. Remember, not all long and heavy patterns have taper in the middle of the pattern. Sometimes they're very flat in the middle of the lane and then taper toward the outsides or the gutters. In that case, you can play very far right or very far outside. We shouldn't exclude the lefties here. And the use case for this ball makes sense to be used on more fresher, heavier conditions, as long as there's taper to the right and you can keep your angles close down in front of you, really keep the break point in front of you and let the ball walk into the pocket. In that case, I could see it used on sport shots on the heavier side, but for the most part, this is going to be higher utility for medium to medium light sport patterns where there's just a little bit of flatness, where reactive balls get too jumpy, too squirty, and perhaps the purple hammer is just causing too much carry down or is just a little too weak off of the pattern or a little too early and slow down lane. The new 2.0 is going to be a gear above that, and it's going to be a nice bridge between the purple hammer and your reactive balls, albeit I think it's shaded strength and reaction wise a little closer to the purple hammer and a little further away from some of those maybe sanded solid bowling balls that you would attempt to use on sport patterns to blend out the pattern and create control for yourself. So I hope that clarifies some things about this new 2.0. Where and when you can use it on sport shots and house shots, and whether or not it is worth it to be put in your bag. Again, I consider this more of a utility ball. It's not going to be a benchmark staple across all patterns for all players, but if you're a tournament player or an experienced league bowler who encounters a lot of different types of conditions, then the new 2.0 is going to be an excellent advantage for making sure that you have the right amount of control and consistency shot to shot and house to house. If you have any questions about the new 2 or any questions about your hammer arsenal, feel free to drop a comment below. I'm happy to answer any questions for you whenever you have time. And check back often because I'm making new long form videos and shorts on my shorts tab on YouTube every time there's a new release in the Brands of Brunswick. So check back often, make sure you like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.